What if I were to suggest that you play a key role in the awakening world? And that you are watching this because you have heard the call. We can start right now by opening our hearts and minds. Welcome to the awakening world.
Unmuted.
Let's try that again. Hi, everybody. I'm Love Coach Scott Catamas. You know me by now. And that's Omashar. And we're going to have a rather unique show tonight. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be all about awakening. And we're going to hear from Marianne Williamson. We're going to hear from Reverend Beckwith. We're going to hear from Jonathan Robinson, who wrote the Enlightenment Project and has interviewed everyone from the Dalai Lama on down about awakening and about enlightenment. We're going to have a meditation, but most of all, we're going to have 3 songs from Omashar. We're stocking up on Omashar because he's going away for a couple of weeks. He's going to merry old England. So we want to get as much Omashar as we can before he leaves. It's great to see everybody. You know what to do. Move and groove. Get ready, Eleanor Joy and Ian and Nitya and everybody else who's going to move to the music. George, I love putting the spotlight on you. Smile and move to the music, partner. And let's have fun tonight. Take it away, Omashar.
All right. Well, greetings, namaste, and aloha, everybody. Here from thunderstruck Colorado. It's gone from 97 degrees to thunderstorms and lightning and torrential rain to sunny skies. So it's kind of cool, actually. I love the thunder. And so here's a thunder song called Just When. Doesn't know if I'm just making it up. So here we go.
Cause when you think that all is lost and the curtain looks to fall, everyone, come on, get it together. Perhaps it's just the song of home that calls, and you trust in life exposed. No need to sit around and mope. Where there is love, there's always hope. Trust in your life and you will see that you reflect as me. Another day is here for you to live, and and I'll walk it through with you. There is no doubt your heart is pure and true. So I came to remind you, no need to sit around and mope. Where there is love, there's always hope. Trust in your life and you will see that you reflect as me. I am in all that you will see. Have trust in your life and trust in me. Dust yourself down and I'll lift you up. I will fill your loving cup. Just when you thought that all was lost, I came to remind you, no need to sit around and mope. Where there is love, there's always hope. Trust in your life and you will see that you reflect as me. Hey, Deborah.
Hey, beautiful, beautiful Omashar. How are you?
I'm glorious, thank you. Always glorious. In spite of what I'm feeling, I'm always glorious. Not in spite, in as well. Yeah, consummate. Let's put it that way. Yeah, you look beautiful, radiant. Yes.
So do you. So do all our members here. Everyone here in the community. So sweet.
Beautiful. So
Everybody's shining.
we're going to hear a lot from Deborah a little bit later after the Twin Ray meditation takes place. But we're also going to hear from Michael Beckwith, and Jonathan Robinson is going to join us very shortly. And so we've got a special surprise guest. What I'm going to do though is I'm going to start with what Michael Beckwith had to say when I asked him about the awakening world. And so this is about a 10-minute video. And then when this is over, we will go straight into Jonathan Robinson and then the meditation, which will be happening here at the Haven, but over on the other side of the Haven. So we're going to tune into it in kind of a unique way. And then we'll hear from Deborah and Marianne Williamson. So here is our dear friend, Reverend Michael Beckwith, whom we love very much. Most of you know, you've heard me say that I've had the good fortune to know Michael for a very long time. I first started going to Agape. He wasn't even calling it Agape then. It was when we were meeting in the basement of the Santa Monica Miramar Hotel. And there'd be like 10 or 12, maybe 15 of us on metal folding chairs. And from there, it's grown into this international ministry. So here is Michael Beckwith, all about the awakening world. Michael, we're starting a new series in January called The Awakening World. The idea being that it's obviously a very hard time for a lot of people, but everything that is happening is part of the awakening world, and all of us as human beings awakening. And I would love anything you have to say about your perspective about this particular moment in time as the awakening world.
I would definitely be in alignment with what you just said. It is a time of great awakening. And I think that the prophecies from the indigenous cultures have pointed to this particular time in which we are living, in which there is decadence, there's that which is not in cadence with that which is emerging, that no longer serves us, that's falling apart and creating a lot of disturbance in the field for a lot of people. And then there's the emergence of expansion of our paradigm into a global society that's sustained more by compassion and love and generosity and forgiveness. I think we're in the midst of the destruction of one paradigm and the birth of another paradigm. The earth itself, if you look at the earth, Mother Earth, from the shamanistic point of view, a great shamans would say, one of them that we would talk about this just passed a few days ago, Malidoma Some. When the earth spoke to him during his initiation into elderhood, she told him that she had already passed into another phase of consciousness. The frequency was much higher, and that humanity was being invited into a higher frequency. Those that come into it will pass through this phase with very little worry and anxiety and anxiousness and fear. But those that don't will pass through this phase with fear and worry and anxiousness and anxiety, and it will be a very difficult time for them. You see, so from the shamanistic point of view, you know, and the mystical point of view, we're already, the earth is already at a higher frequency, and the field in which we're living is already at a much higher frequency. Some would say another dimension we're living in already. From a scientific point of view, the earth is vibrating at a higher frequency. Over the last 30 years, of which the Schumann resonance has been measured and things of that particular nature, it's at a higher frequency. So that means that certain things will not be sustainable if it's not at that frequency. If you start a business merely for profit and you don't care about what you're creating, you're just doing something just to make money, it's not going to be sustainable, you see. So we're in that dynamic right now. And so it behooves us to encourage folks to have a spiritual practice. Doesn't matter what you call yourself, doesn't matter what religion, you know, just opt out of the dogma of it and come into what they all are leading us to, which is a closer walk with love, a closer walk with resonating with compassion and peace and generosity and forgiveness, all what all religions actually teach. But to not to be religious or to come into high religiosity, but to really embrace the fruitage of the practice, which is a deep spiritual connection with the presence, you see. And that guides you in your thought, your conversation, and your deeds. So yeah, we're in a very volatile period of time, and everything that we're going through is kind of an evolutionary trigger that is pushing some people and pulling other people to another awareness of the cosmology of unity and oneness. See, so what I would say, I was recently on a panel with some good friends, Catherine Woodward Thomas and Marianne Williamson. And as we were exiting, Marianne said, Michael, give us something positive to think about, you know, with all the darkness, that's all the stuff that's going on the planet right now. What would you say about it? And I said, listen, the universe is progressive. The universe is the outpicturing of the fundamental order and harmony and beauty and symmetry of the heart mind of the infinite. It's always expanding to reveal more of the infinite nature of the presence. Even if it contracts a little bit, it always expands more, you see. And so it doesn't go backwards, it's always progressive. So with that, when something is out of alignment, something is not in integrity with the fundamental harmony of the universe, it creates a level of stagnation. So what happens is that stagnation creates a tension. And that tension becomes like a slingshot. You know, as the universe is going forward, the stagnation, it feels like it's a slingshot going like this. And then when there's a release, the energy is released and it creates a kind of a renaissance that very quickly things change. But it changes through the individuals who are doing the spiritual work. Peace does not roll in on the wheels of inevitability, but it rolls in on the backs and the minds of individuals who are doing the spiritual work. So when that energy is released, it moves through people as creativity, innovativeness, resourcefulness, you know, very fast. And so I think we're being prepared for a renaissance because of all the stagnation that's happening in systems that are systemic with greed, and systemic with injustice, systemic with bigotry, systemic with injustice. It's going to happen very rapidly. We're going to enter into a renaissance phase. And it's going to happen, it's not going to be like magic, like God's going to come out of the sky and do anything, because the presence of God needs vehicles, just like electricity needs a light bulb. Electricity is everywhere, but unless it has something to plug into, you don't see it. God's everywhere, but unless people are plugged in and bear witness to it, it doesn't show up. So all of us who are doing spiritual work are going to be the instruments of a great renaissance. And even though it looks dire in many ways on the planet right now, looks dire, you see, because you can use the same laws for negativity, which many people are doing right now. But anything that is against life is not sustainable, because life's not going to work against itself. Eventually, the tension is going to create a slingshot and go, shoo, and that which is not in alignment will not be sustainable. And the new things that are in alignment will grow really, really rapidly fast. And the things that people are railing against won't have any power.
Beautiful. Yes, absolutely. Michael, thank you so much for these many messages and for being such a great inspiration in my life for 30 plus years now. So many people. We were at the Sheridan. I used to come see you downstairs at the Sheridan, man. There were like 20 people on metal folding chairs.
Absolutely. We started in my living room, and then we went to the Santa Monica Bay Women's Club, and then we went to the Miramar Sheridan downstairs, and then we went to the Wedgwood Room, and then we went to the Starlight Ballroom, and then we got those buildings over on Olympic, and then we went to Culver City, and now we're here at the Saban Theater in Beverly Hills. We're just in the midst of, right this moment, in November, going into December, we're celebrating our 35th anniversary.
Wow.
We're just celebrating 35 years of, and we've expanded more than any time in human history of our beginnings. We've expanded more during these past 2 years during the lockdown of healthy people. It's the first time in human history that there's been a lockdown on people who are healthy. It's never happened before. But during these last couple of years, we've expanded more than any time of our existence.
It's a beautiful reframe. That was another thought that I had when you told the story about how Howard Washington Thurman reframed that experience. And you were so beautiful at reframing how we see things. And that's what you just did. You just gave 2 examples of reframing and seeing it from the bigger perspective, from God's eyes, from the spiritual perspective.
Yeah.
So there's another place I imagine that he helped influence that within you, watered that seed.
Absolutely.
Michael, God bless you. Have a very, very happy Holy Day season.
Absolutely. We're going to keep the holy and the holiday.
Absolutely. My big joke, my birthday is Christmas Day. So my joke always is, remember the true meaning of Christmas, not the little dude in the manger, not Santa Claus, but Scott's birthday.
Scott, happy appearance day, brother.
Much love. God's blessings. Have a beautiful, beautiful few weeks. Look forward to our next connection.
God bless you.
I love that man. Oh, there we go. I really do. I love that guy. We're going to go to Jonathan Robinson in a moment. But I'd love to get any feedback that you have. And Connie, I noticed that you got pretty lit up. So I'm going to bring you on camera for a moment just to share what came up for you in watching what Michael had to say. You're on camera, Connie.
Oh, yeah. So that is so aligned, and he is so aligned with our work with the trust frequency that it's just thrilling to hear him just be so articulate on that subject, that we're going to higher frequencies where there's more information, where it's a new reality. I mean, we're reading, we're getting our stuff from the same frequency. And it's just so exciting that he articulated it so well. We want it for our film. I just wrote you.
Okay, I'll send you the MP4.
Yeah, because he's committed to be in the film. So that would be
Great.
great.
There you have it.
There we have it.
Well, good to have you with us. And I get to introduce one of my best friends. To be honest, we put this show together at the last minute. There was going to be something else happening tonight, and the people doing it had to postpone. So it's like, okay, what are we going to do? And I decided, and Trish wasn't available tonight. So I decided, okay, well, let's talk about awakening. And then I realized if we were talking about awakening, my best friend is the guy, he's the dude. And I'm talking about Jonathan Robinson. Now, what makes him the dude? Well, he happens to be the guy behind the amazing book called The Enlightenment Project. It's his latest book. I believe it's Jonathan's 15th book. And I've listened to it. I listened to the audio version of it, and it's brilliant. It really is wonderful. And Jonathan speaks very humbly and honestly, and with a certain amount of humor. He's a funny guy, about how he went from being depressed to, I'm going to say, semi-enlightened. You know, we have our moments. You know, we're going to hear from Marianne Williamson later today, and she talks about that too. It's like about how one moment you can like really be in tune, and the next moment you can be pretty much in the ego. So I am grateful. I literally wrote to Jonathan today. I said, Jonathan, we're doing a show on awakening. Are you available? And dear friend that he is, he popped on in. So welcome, Jonathan.
Great to see you, Scott, and the whole community.
Absolutely. One thing to keep in mind is at 6:30, we're going to swing over to a meditation that's happening in the same building, but we're going to go online to it. Hopefully we're trying something new. So we're hoping that's going to work. But then we want to talk to you a little bit now and then quite a bit afterwards, if that works for you.
That'll work, sure.
Tell us.
The most important things can be said in 7 minutes or less. So let's get right to it.
All right. Tell us about your journey of awakening.
Well, I was fortunate enough to have a totally dysfunctional childhood. So that got me into exploring stuff at age 11 and 12. I was meditating every day by 12 and doing self-hypnosis. You know, I had a stepfather that used to beat me pretty often. So, you know, I had the greatest motivation for spiritual awakening, which is pain. And I'm grateful now because, you know, now I have 50 years of meditation under my belt. And what I really started to see was that I wanted to interview the 100 greatest spiritual leaders on the planet to find out what they had to say. So I spent like 30 years doing that. Everybody from Mother Teresa to the Dalai Lama, Deepak Chopra, Reverend Michael. I've talked to Marianne Williamson. I now have a podcast called Awareness Explorers that's all about interviewing spiritual leaders. And you know, I'm a lazy guy, so I'm always interested in the simplest, most powerful methods for awakening. And I think people need different things. You know, we're in a race between consciousness and catastrophe, and we don't have time to piddle around anymore. We need to tap into the peace, love within in daily life more and more often to deal with all the, you know, the crap that is thrown at us. And I think everybody has some key that if they found it, they could get there more quickly. You know, it used to be that I needed to take an hour to feel bliss. Now it only takes me about 30 seconds because I found the methods that work for me. And it's interesting, you know, there's so many methods out there. I took a course from a Harvard psychologist named Jeffrey Martin, and he had a similar mission where he interviewed just, you know, hundreds of enlightened people, find out what their methods were. And he teaches a course on it. It's a great course. It's called 45 Days to Awakening. I have no financial ties to it. But what was interesting is that most of these people were teaching methods that are not known. And that led to their awakening. Let me give you one of them or a couple of them. just so you have a sense, because these are not like, Vipassana meditation or yoga. Those things weren't working for these people. One of them was, I like it, it's called the love meditation. You write a list of the 50 people who you've ever felt connected with in your life, even if it was like an old girlfriend or boyfriend who you now don't like, but at one time you loved them or you connected with them. And just spend a minute thinking about what you loved about each of those people. Well, what happens is you're inundated with love for 50 minutes and it builds on itself. And it's incredible to feel inundated with love. It's like, an intense drug trip. So that's an example that, nobody's teaching that method, but that's a method that a lot of people used to become awakened. So, I like that. I like a method I use, which is really fun, is I just imagine that I was just born. What's it like to look at the world from that perspective where, you don't even know what anything means. There's a screen in front of us. What's that? With these letters written, what's that? You're just looking at everything new. And if you do that for, a couple minutes a day, and you just allow your brain to open to all the sensory wonders that we get to experience, that starts to rewire your brain. And, I've gone from suicidally depressed as a teen to someone that gets to experience a lot of joy each day. And it was really just these little things that made a big difference. And of course, it helps to hang out with the Dalai Lama and Mother Teresa and all those people as well. But, I think everybody, if they explore enough, they find something that really leads to peace. And to me, being in touch with peace, joy, and love, it really doesn't matter what your belief system is. Belief system stands for BS. It's really a matter of how quickly and how often you can get in touch with that love. And Scott and I share a method of awakening, and that's called devoting ourselves to the love of our dogs.
Absolutely.
Every day we focus on that, and it opens our heart, and an open heart is one of the signs of awakening.
Jasmine Bear is right where she heard her name. Okay, come on up we go. Oh, I woke her up. I think, hello. Look at a kiss. I still get a kiss. Okay, there we go. It's very sweet.
Dogs are our new gurus. We can bow to their love and feel devoted to them, and they don't ask for money.
But they do like to be fed.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And we pick up their poop.
We're their servants, evidently.
Yeah, exactly. I had never heard that before about how belief system is BS. I like that. That's a good one. We're gonna swing over in a moment to the meditation, hopefully, once we see that it's happening. But you have you mentioned interviewing the Dalai Lama, and I love your story about the question you asked the Dalai Lama that we all want to hear the answer to. And I'm wondering if you would share that story.
Sure. The Dalai Lama, I asked the Dalai Lama, how can we deal with conflict, like in relationships? And the first thing he said, because he's so humble, is, I'm not an expert on sexual relationships. He's a monk. But he said after a moment, I have a ancient Tibetan talisman I can give you that will help end all conflict. And he told me to close my eyes. I'm very excited. And I'm wondering what he's going to give me or show me is this magical thing that, can end conflict. And when I open my eyes, he tells me to open my eyes, and he's wearing one of those big red bozo noses, those big red noses that you wear. And he just started cracking up. And he then said, it's impossible to argue with somebody with one of these noses on them. And, I'm a psychotherapist and a marriage counselor, and it's true. If you start arguing with your mate, just put on one of those red bozo noses. That'll save you a couple of years of therapy.
I love that. It's such a great story. And it's wonderful too, because it's such a pattern disrupt both ways. It's a pattern disrupt with the bozo nose. It's a pattern disrupt of the Dalai Lama, who we think is going to give you this ancient, Tibetan talisman, right?
Yeah.
We're still waiting for them to get the meditation started. It's hopefully going to start in just a moment. Can you share with us a little bit about Awakening Explorers, this podcast that you're doing? And we'll put the link into the chat box, but tell us about that for a moment.
Yeah, it's called Awareness Explorers. It's now one of the more popular spiritual podcasts in the world. And it's me and a friend who just decided we want to find out the cutting edge technology, inner technology for finding peace and love. And so we talk to people like Adyashanti and Byron Katie and Marianne Williamson recently, various Deepak Chopra, various awake teachers, and ask them, what's your best method for waking people up? And we, ask them a little bit about their story and how they got to where they are. And, I did it mostly because I wanted to learn the stuff, but it ends up other people wanted to know it too. So we have these great conversations. It's all free. If you go to awarenessexplorers.com, in the navigation bar is the word meditations. So we now have 100 guided meditations for free from all these spiritual leaders. I asked them, give me your best 10-minute guided meditation, and it's all free. And you're welcome to explore that if you are an awareness explorer. And if you're on this show, I'm sure you are. So yeah, we come out with a new one every couple of weeks. And recently we interviewed Gangaji, if you know who she is. But it's such an honor to interview these people and find out their story and their struggles and how they overcame them. And I'm kind of a technique junkie. So I also ask them, what's your favorite way of connecting to awakening to peace and love? And people come up with some pretty interesting stuff that often works better than stuff that you read in a book.
So I'm going to go one more time to the website. Here it is. It is awarenessexplorers.com. And it's remarkable how many episodes you've done, how many places you're carrying it. And make sure, everybody, you put in your email address so that you can keep in touch with what's going on here.
Yeah, you get a free guided meditation when you put in your email address, and it's one that I think people will really enjoy right away.
Great. All right, we are going to make an attempt. This is a new thing. We are going to try and see if we can connect to another event that's happening. So let's give that a try, shall we? So this is an experiment, everybody. There is Jonathan and myself, but I'm not seeing the other live broadcast. So we may not get the meditation.
Although I was at a Eckhart Tolle retreat once, and he didn't speak for like 15 minutes. And then he said, if you're waiting for something to happen now, you're kind of missing the point.
I can relate to that. I can definitely relate to that. Tell us a little bit about I know you have some wonderful meditation practices. Would you be willing to share one or two with us?
Sure. And people can do this one. It takes about 2 minutes, maybe less. I call it the include meditation. You know how when things go wrong in life, we focus on that. We focus on the thing that is most not pleasant in our life. That's what the human mind does. So whenever I notice that I'm focusing on a problem or something like that, I'll say, what else is going on? And, what else is going on is as I look out the window, there's, wind moving through the leaves and it looks very pretty. But what else is going on? Well, I can feel my butt in the chair, feels warm, feels comfortable. What else is going on? Well, I'm talking to a group of people and I'm getting to share some heartfelt stuff. What else is going on? Well, I'm aware that I'm doing this. There's a sense of peace to that awareness. What else is going on? I can feel an opening in my heart now as I talk about these things. And what you do is you just expand from our limited mind view of focusing on problems and plans to expanding outward and outward and outward until you start to feel the bigness of life, of having a human life, of feeling grateful for being alive. And it only takes a minute and you can use it in any situation. You know, the mind focuses mostly on problems, but the heart and our spirit are always there in the background if you just ask that question, what else is going on?
Beautiful. Well, for whatever reason, it hasn't worked. Our little test is swinging over to that. So what I am going to do is I am going to play a video of Marianne Williamson. And it's a conversation that we had with her. And I'm going to actually play a couple. We're going to start with just a 2-minute video where she kind of shared what the awakening world means to her, which was very cool to hear Marianne's thoughts about it. I've had the fortune, I've interviewed her about, I think, 5 times now since we started doing Global Peace Tribe shows. We're going to play at least 1 or 2 of the longer videos, but here's a short one on what she had to say about the awakening world.
Dream. The world is a dream.
Let's try it again.
A Course in Miracles tells us that the world is a dream. And in our dream state, we have fallen into a nightmare. A lot of us think, well, if only we could awaken. But the Course in Miracles says you can't go from the nightmare to awakening. You have to go from the bad dream to the happy dream. The happy dream is the awakening world. We're in the process of awakening. The bad dream becomes a happy dream. A planet that is infused with so many warlike situations, people killing each other, atrocities, becomes a world in which war is merely a memory. A planet in which there is so much unnecessary suffering becomes a world in which there is no unnecessary suffering. A world in which 12,000 children die every day of starvation becomes a world in which all are fed, in which all have enough because we have used so wisely and compassionately the resources of this planet. A world in which laughter and love and song and forgiveness and dancing and merriment is the dominant human experience. Once we get there, once we're a happy dream, then we will awaken and we'll be beyond form altogether.
Thank you so much, Marianne, for your incredible contribution to
Thank
helping
you.
us truly become an awakening world.
Thank you. It's wonderful working with you.
Here she is. And of course, she is running for president. I'm curious how many of you are kind of following it. Omashar has made a suggestion, which I think is a good one. Would you like to lead a meditation for us tonight, Jonathan?
Sure. I have many to choose from. How long would you like it to be?
I'd say like 3 to 5 minutes.
Okay, great. Then let's do this. You know, when you find the right meditation, you have a friend for life. So if you're in a place where you can relax and close your eyes, if you are available for that, then that would be great. And I think all good meditations start with moving from our head to our heart. So imagine that you could breathe out the center of your chest and just feel, maybe even put your hand there and just feel the sensations in the center of your chest. Maybe you could start by thinking of a person or animal that you have great affection for. And just breathing into that and remembering a wonderful time with a person or animal. Imagine you can send them some love, or that you're hugging them. And just feel more of a sense of all the molecules of your body are vibrating. They're vibrating from the Creator giving us life. And imagine that you are in like a warm bathtub of love. You may not normally be aware of it, but we're continuously being broadcast this frequency of love. And normally we might be closing down or constricted. So notice any part of your body that feels a little tight or a little bit constricted. And allow it to open like a flower to this feeling of love, to this feeling of openness. You can imagine that that part of your body is like chocolate melting in the sun, just melting open, relaxing, unwinding. And that you are dispersing all your molecules, dispersing and becoming one with this ocean of love. And anytime you might notice any fear or constriction, you just say to yourself, it's okay to let go. It's safe to let go. Allow yourself to feel grateful for this moment. In a certain way, this moment is the most important moment of your life because you are in this moment. And in this moment, you open or tune or relax into this bathtub of love and gratitude for the gift of life, for the gift of this moment, for the gift of just being. And you include the awareness that we all share, the awakened awareness we all share as one human family. And you can feel that thread of connection that's always behind our turbulent minds, that's always there, calling to us, calling us to awaken. And when you're ready, take as much time as you want. Gradually become aware of opening your eyes to this material world, a world of forms and apparent separate people. But as Marianne said, that's just an illusion. And we are all ultimately one family. As in Ram Dass once said, walking each other home. Welcome back.
have been waiting for so long, and yes, I have faltered. Flickering faith I've had in you. Whoa. Now that I see the greater plan, I know you've been watching, silently present, cheering me on. Through my pain I've grown so strong, and though my heart's been broken and friendships they have crumbled, I do it all again. And yes, I did it all for you. I knew that you'd come through. La 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 la. I open the door inside my heart. There is a radiant presence telling me this is where I start. Whoa, shining lights, please lead me home, for I know you never left me, and that I've never walked alone. And now I am ready for your essence to be fully merged with my life, and I'm ready for the changes that are required of me to be completely free. With your light I can see. La 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 la.
Beautiful. Let's all twinkle both Jonathan for his beautiful meditation and beloved Omashar for that wonderful song. Thank you so much.
Jonathan, that was great. I was taken. Thank you so much. That is such a simple, truly deeply effective meditation. Thank you.
Thank you for your music. I love it.
So welcome.
It really is such a delight, Jonathan, to have Omashar here providing music every show. It's become such a wonderful part of what we do. And actually, this is for me wonderful because it's like Jonathan, whom I love, and Deborah, whom I love, and you both have like devoted your lives, or certainly a gigantic chunk of your lives, to enlightenment and awakening. It's kind of like a clash of the titans, you know. And so I'm kind of excited to share with our audience both of your perspectives. And of course, Deborah, while you were over there, Jonathan shared a little bit about his history, where he's interviewed over 100 people from the Dalai Lama on down. But I thought it would just be really kind of fun to have you two converse a little bit. And then definitely I would love to get any comments or questions from our audience, so to make it interactive. So we're going to kind of wing it a little bit here.
Well, Deborah, it's an honor. I've heard so much about you, and it's an honor to meet you. I hope someday it's in person. I do have a question for you. I hear that you were a Mother Mira devotee, and I'm wondering if you can share anything about what that was like. That's an experience, you know, she's one of the most enlightened women on the planet, and you were so close to her. What was that like for so many years?
How to put that in words? Well, thank you for
Yes.
a beautiful question. Yeah. You're probably familiar with the word avatar?
Mhm.
That's how we would call enlightened being like Mother Mira. You know, for us, the difference is like we are making our way up, life after life after life, and until we can choose if we want to come back or not. And those beings, yeah, they come all the way down. You know, they have already been there. Right? So the consciousness is of such a tremendous difference that actually, I would really say. Every single person I've met so far, just by entering a room where such a presence exists and is there, quiets, first of all, the mind
Mhm.
without us doing anything, you know,
Yeah.
just a matter of time, whether it happens within seconds or within minutes. And believe me, I think almost every single time we got to see Mother personally, and we had at least 5 questions, very important questions, who would change our lives if we got the answers. Believe me, the second we would sit with her, there was no way we could remember those questions.
Right.
That's really the power. That's
Mm.
really, I would say, the main difference between probably even an enlightened being and an avatar is that an avatar is constantly in the presence of Source,
Mhm.
presence where we all come from, in that presence of the intelligence of the universe, of the source where we all come from, and the love that we ultimately are. So that silence of the mind drops us immediately into the heart, and then the love that an avatar is emanating. I mean, oh my God, we were just longing to sit next to her, and then we would feel, we would just be silent when she was talking, and we would just feel the washing machine inside of us, like, through all the chakras running and running and running. So I do believe, honestly, it's just a blessing to even just be close or just meet such a beautiful being. And yeah, I was addicted. I could not be without her anymore.
Yeah. And I agree. It's such a blessing to be around people that emanate that energy. Did she have any methods that she gave, or was it more just being in her presence and being of service?
Yeah, Mother is very unique, I believe, in this. She always said, I'm not a guru. I am not a guru. She said, I am the incarnation. I mean, she never talked about herself, first of all. She would never do that. So
Yeah.
Only very close ones got to talk to her. And there are 2 books came out of that, which are questions and answers. And one which is describing the incarnation of the Divine Mother. And probably, I mean, for me, I needed the first time, I'll never forget the first time I met her, and I got her darshan. So darshan is the name for a blessing of an enlightened being, or an enlightened being.
Mm-hmm.
And every avatar is actually giving a different form of darshan. Obviously, just being in the presence of the avatar is enough for them, but for us, we love to have a kind of a sign from the avatar, right? So that we get the blessing. And I don't know if you all know the hugging Amma, from India. So her way to give darshan is by embracing everyone, right? So we all got the hug, Amma's hug. And Mother Mira is different. She used to take our head like this. So she would put her middle finger here. She would take the head between her 2 middle fingers, which now we all have two main nadis going all the way through our body, all the way, and they are filled with knots, little tiny. I mean, this is really highly electrical, vibrational work, right? And so every maybe trauma or everything that we experience also in past lives is one knot. And so if so when she was taking our hand, what happened is that she carefully, her light would go through those two nadis, and only, you know, as much as we could take, knots would be unknotted. But it's really a very profound and particular work. Like if you do too much, you could die. So that's the first thing she did. And then she would, so that's basically working on the karma, right? Working on the karma on our past lives and all of that. It's very, very profound. And it lasts only a couple of seconds, you know, an avatar doesn't need much time, but this is really what she did. And then she would look into our eyes, and there she would see everything that's going on in our lives and in all our families, and then she would just give what we needed, you know, without, of course. And then we go away. And today, which is interesting, she doesn't need to do this anymore. So since actually COVID hit, you can see in the Schumann frequency, the frequency of the planet has risen so much, and you know, everybody around us is waking up like popcorn, right? So everybody's the frequency is really so high that she doesn't need to do that anymore. She is really meditating online every day, and she looks into our eyes, and then we meditate with her in silence, and that's enough to level up really the frequency of the planet. So.
Yeah, I actually do that once a week as part of Vortex Healing, which uses her eyes as a focus, and I have that experience. And you know, you're very fortunate to have that experience. Not many people in the West get to have that, you know, connection and know what that's like. So I'm glad that you're spreading that a little bit.
Did you have the chance to meet her personally? Did you have?
Not personally. I met Amaji and a few other people like that personally, but just the eye gazing online. But that's really powerful.
Yeah, it's tremendously powerful. I never forget, my father had just passed away, I have to say. And then I was in a state of, I don't even know how to describe that state. It was, I couldn't sleep, not for days, not for weeks, but for months. I literally wouldn't be able to sleep. That's how profound for me that experience was. And that's when I met her, obviously. Often that's what happens. And I will never forget my very first time I got to look into her eyes. I was like, oh my God. I mean, it's different for everyone, really. For me, it was like, I just looked into my soul's eyes. Like I knew I looked into God's eyes. And I had no clue. And then I wanted to know, who is she? You know, my friend didn't tell me anything. She just like, come wash your hair before.
Yeah.
That's all she said, you know. And then I read the books, and of course it was also my spiritual awakening at the same time. And never forget, I read Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now at the same time. And I was reading all of that, and I was like, oh my God, this is the answer to all my questions. I never knew I had them. I mean, it was literally, and for one entire week, I was just in that zone. You know, after her darshan, reading Eckhart Tolle at the same time, it was crazy. I remember I would take a shower and just feel every single drop of the shower. I would be walking on grass, and I was just so in awe of the grass. And then I would drive, you know, my mother's convertible, and my friend who had introduced me to Mother Mira and who had given me the book, you know, of The Power of Now. I was driving the car, and she was like, could you please drive a little faster? I'm like, don't you just love the smell of this, of the wheeling drive? I was just gone for an entire week. And I will never forget, I think on page 55 in the German version, Eckhart Tolle actually writes, if you've met one of the very rare, real, avatars out there, then you're already on a good spiritual path, right? And then I was like, oh my God, if she is who I believe she is, then I got to meet her again. And then 2 years later, I was in India helping to build her school.
Yeah.
Actually, not even 2 years. It was, very honestly, it was 2008, and like 4 darshans later. I mean, people had gazillions of darshan with her, and I had 4 darshans, and I was sitting next to her, literally on the plane to India. So yeah, but I've yeah.
Here's there was a question about her website.
Yeah.
And yeah, here she is. Here's a beautiful photo of her. And it's a simple website to go to. It's just mothermira.com. And Mira is spelled M-E-E-R-A, mothermira.com. So this is where you can learn more about her. She is from a small village in the German countryside. And yes, Deborah is half French and half German. And there's some really wonderful videos that people can watch to really kind of drop in with her, all about devotion, love, awakening. So there's Mother Mira. And you had a question for Jonathan.
Absolutely. So what brought you all the way to, on your spiritual path, and all the way to meet a couple of avatars, as far as I have understood?
Well, it became almost like a hobby. Some people collect baseball cards. I decided I would collect spiritual methods and spiritual teachers, partly for my own benefit, but also I can be very persistent. So sometimes, meeting some of these people like the Dalai Lama or Mother Teresa can take a fair amount of persistence. And I said, let's see if I can gather that information. So I've been to India a few times, and like you, I can share a lot of darshan experiences, but I try to share them as like teaching stories. Here's an example. You probably know who Punjaji was. Yeah. So he was a guru, and I didn't know anything about him when I went to his ashram. And the moment I walked in, it was a house, but that was his ashram. I walk in, he's up at the front of his living room, and he points to me. There's like 30 people there. He points to me and says, "You sit here."
Yeah.
Well, I'm like nervous, like, what am I supposed to do? So he does his thing, which is a Ramana Maharshi thing, where he says, "Who are you?" Well, I didn't know anything about Ramana Maharshi or anything. So I said, "I'm Jonathan Robinson from the United States." And he and everybody in the room starts laughing and giggling, thinking this is an idiot or whatever. And I'm thinking, well, that was certainly the wrong answer.
Oh, really?
So he had compassion. He said, "Who are you really?" And, it's an interesting question to answer. So I thought about it. I go like, well, I'm a spiritual seeker. And he kind of goes, and then I'm a man, I'm a writer. We did this for like 2 or 3 minutes. I'm like sweating. I'm dripping sweat. Everybody's kind of snickering. If this is a spiritual experience, I don't want it, Anyway, so I'm just drenched in sweat. And then it occurred to me that he had literally like light beams coming out of his eyes. So I just looked in his eyes. I ran out of roles that I play.
Good.
In his eyes.
That's what he wanted.
I'm looking at his eyes, and I start to feel this like disturbing feeling in my chest. And I just said, "Well, that's interesting." And I'm looking at his eyes, and then I said, "Well, just surrender to that feeling." And it was like, next thing I know, I'm sobbing in his lap, drooling, and I feel like total love.
It's really
See, something happened to bed. I'm feeling all this love, and he pats me on the head and he says, "This love that you feel, that's who you really are, and your job is to never forget that." So I really kind of think of it as like my job. People say, "What's your job?" My job is to go from a human doing to a human being that feels love. And, I work 40 hours a week at this job. It pays pretty well in love. and I have my good days and bad days, but if you think of that's why we're here, then it really changes how you look at life. So, that was one darshan, and then I had others, a lot of miracle things. At one time I needed to know that there was like magic.
Yes,
And
tell us more. Tell us
so
more.
a lot of the gurus would like I'm an amateur magician. So I would like I was a psychic studies major at UCLA studying psychic phenomena. So these gurus would inevitably like do magic in front of me until I really didn't need that anymore. I didn't need proof. I just, wanted to feel the energy and whether it be Sai Baba or Amaji, they all did things that like kind of blew my belief system.
Yeah, that is the big difference, I would say, between Mother Mira, and she never did that. She wouldn't. The people who were close, I mean, we really didn't, we also didn't.
You didn't need it. You didn't need it. Yeah.
We knew.
After a while, I didn't need it, but like in my 20s and 30s, early 30s, I needed like proof. And so I think they read that. In fact, when I saw Sai Baba, he manifested ash, that type of stuff. And after he manifested
did you see him manifesting the golden eggs and rings?
He did that too, but for me, he just manifested lots of ash, right? Like 6 inches from my face. And then he looked at me and he said, "Satisfied, Magic Man?"
You do know that they know everything about you when they see you. You do know that.
I guess so. That looks like what's happening. Yeah.
They know all you, because, for these beings, there is no past and present, there is no time, so there is no past and no future, and they see everything at the same time. So obviously they see all your past lives and all your future lives. And so, and for them, there is no judgment at all. There is no better or nothing is, everything just is. Everything just is.
Yeah, I once asked one of these teachers about a politician I particularly didn't like. And his response was, well, he's a perfect them. And I like that. Like, I might not like him, but he is doing his role of villain politician really, really well. And that helped me to go, yeah, he's nailing that role.
I want to read a couple of comments that have come in from our audience to include Mark Donislavsky writes, "Unconditional love, exclamation point. Once someone demonstrates that to you, hang on to it as tight as you can, as if your life depends on it."
Yeah.
Eleanor Joy writes, "Yes, we are beings of love. So let's let it flow through freely and easily." Great sharing, Jonathan. And then earlier, there was a question from George for you, Deborah, wanting to know why Mother Mira suggested that you come to Shekinah or to the Twin Ray. That's,
Well, so that did not happen like that. Avatars have their way to communicate. What happened is that I was in India until COVID hit and we had to close the school. So I was helping to run that one. So she has one major school, 1,500 children, and then now and 5 other schools around it in the same city, and like 200,000 people village kind of town, let's call it a town. And the 5 schools were or are kindergarten and now becoming primary schools. And so I was also then implementing all my knowledge into these schools until no more. And so I went back to Germany, and my sister had just given birth to a beautiful second daughter on the 20th of February 2020. And that's when I found out actually that the children in Germany or in the West are much less happy than the kids in India. We have 2.2 billion children, people over there, and they were so much happier. So I was, after 5 years not being in the West, I was then taking care of the kids, and online through, and I was still, I still have mother's phone number and can call her today, obviously, right? So and I'm still in contact with her, of course. And so I was just following, I don't even remember, a class with how to start my own company, because I wanted to meditate with children in the world and online. And there was a online meditation going on with I think it was something with the plasma. There was Regan Hillier with her man Pueblo Barahona or something, and then there were the Trinway. And I knew, I mean, who Regan is. Regan is a beautiful business lady, slightly spiritual, and then I was immediately, I was like, wait a minute, you know, that light, that heart, that love, I immediately like, who are they? And then I was honestly, just watching them, because they are so from the outside, the opposite of mother. Mother is very humble, very, very, and also is, you know, her school in India, everything is very, very low profile. You know, of course, it's real marble and everything is clean and it's the best quality, but very humble, very, very humble, and very, and so I first observed, and then I knew, okay, I kind of knew they are real, but still. And then in 2021, when we couldn't go anywhere and mother had still her doors also closed, you know, for safety reasons, Beloved Sananaji and Shikinama were actually giving a retreat at the sanctuary in here in Ashland. And I was told, and believe me, I have never, I mean, I literally went directly to an avatar, right? I have never seen any guru in my life. I mean, of course, I know Ramana Maharshi because his teaching is so profound. I know Sri Aurobindo and of course Satya Sai Baba, but these are real, you know, these are all real avatars. And so what happened is that I got only one reading in my life, and that was in December 2020, and from a very intuitive person. And she said, Deborah, there's a male wise master in your life, and he is going to teach you, and he's going to bring you to another level. And I was thinking, wait a minute, the only person I know is Thich Nhat Hanh. You know, I always follow Thich Nhat Hanh. Is he coming back into my life? And he passed away that January, you know, 4 weeks afterwards. And then I knew, I also know Guruji, who happens to be Swami Vishwananda in Germany, very close to Mother Meera. And I said, is he coming back into my life? Like, I mean, these are masters that I know, but, and I've learned their teachings. However, to make a long story short, then in one course, Sananaji was saying, oh, by the way, we have a retreat here in Ashland in the month of May, 2021, not 2022, I'm sorry, 2022, last year. And there's only one seat free. And I looked at him, I'm like, you are the one? And then I was really thinking I would only come for a retreat, you know, have just blissful 11 days in that light that I was so longing for, because I was living in that light for so many years, right? So I was just thinking, okay, I'm coming for a retreat. And when I then sat in front of them physically after 10 days, it was so clear. It was just so clear. I was like, oh my God, Mother sent me. But avatars will never tell you. A real, you know, coming from the divine will never tell you what to do. Our free choice is the most important thing on this planet. And that's how you can actually make the difference. They will never tell us what to do. It has to be our free choice. But then, of course, I knew that there was a connection, and I just knew it. And then, of course, I asked her, and then she said, yeah, but you have your free choice, right? You had to choose it for yourself. So that's the way it worked. Yeah, that's the way how it happened. It was really the divine coordinating it all, and then I understood. Okay, I have, you know, it's the next. I would say the next generation of avatar has just another code. You know, it's not that the beloveds are more powerful. You know, Beloved Sananaji or Shikinama are more powerful than Mother Meera. Not at all. They are all, you know, they are all one. They are all brothers and sisters, and they work together. It's just that there are new codes, and I knew that she has literally trained me to be now here, integrating her wisdom and her love into that community. Yeah,
And integration is such a big thing nowadays. How do you take the consciousness of awakening and apply it to your business, apply it to your relationships, apply it to your body? And I think we're all kind of exploring that a lot we reached the stage where we're having the awakening moments where we're stilling the mind and being love. But the next step is taking it into the world. And that's a unique challenge for a lot of people.
It is. How do you do that? How do you integrate that into your life?
Well, I hang out with wise beings like Scott. That helps. No, really, actually, it does help. I have used Scott's superpowers of empathy and feedback. I think all of us have a weak leg, but most of us try to avoid the weak leg. And the teacher I had said, always move towards your weak leg. Figure out what you're the worst at spiritually or in the world, and focus nonstop on that, because rising tide, whatever the phrase is, lifts all boats, I guess. So I was with a teacher that had me always focus on that. And, honest feedback, a willingness to learn, a willingness to be humble, and a willingness to face difficult things. Just a willingness to do that is really important if you're trying to, what does it mean to be awake in business? What does it mean to be awake in relationships? I was talking to Adya, and he said, just asking that question, how does awakeness deal with conflict? How does awakeness drive a car? And I think that's a level that we haven't, as a culture, quite really focused on yet. First we had to, people like Reverend Mike or Michael or Marianne Williamson are so beautiful in painting the picture of what's happening in terms of humanity. But now at some point, it comes down to, what do you do nuts and bolts in your daily life? And that's an exploration that me and my friends do. We do it on the podcast. And, relationships are a great place for that type of feedback. I say it's kind of like if you're blowing up a balloon, if it has just a pinprick of a hole in it, all the air finds its way to the pinprick.
Exactly.
And, the balloon is love, and we're trying to blow it up, and something keeps like leaking out, and we got to find where that leak is and plug it up so that we can be more expansive. And in my relationships with friends or my wife, I always ask for that type of feedback because we're kind of blind to seeing it ourselves. I lived in a spiritual commune with a teacher for a lot of years. And once a week, he would put somebody on the hot seat and tell them everything, all the leaks that they had, all the things that they were doing wrong, self-deceptions, etc. And we all lived together. So we would go, yeah, that's exactly right. And then he'd say, if you think, Mary is like that, raise your hand. And we all would raise our hand because we knew everything he said was accurate. And he was incredibly accurate with everyone except me, in which everything he said seemed like totally not true, misunderstandings. And then he'd say, if Jonathan is really like that, raise your hand. And everybody raised their hand. I'd go, I don't know this guy, And after a while, I started to see, oh yeah, I am sneaky. Oh yeah, I did lie about that. Oh yeah, I was trying to avoid that. And that was really helpful. So I was very grateful for that. But, something I've said to my friends is, if you ever see me doing anything that's wrong or hurtful or looks out of harmony, tell me immediately. And luckily, I've developed friends that will do that.
Yeah, that's very important. Very beautiful.
I've so enjoyed watching the two of you connect a little bit. It's been beautiful. A lot of compliments coming in from our audience. Mark just wrote, very helpful, Jonathan. Slightly scary to look at things about ourselves, but if we realize that we're not alone, we can spot the leaks and experience healing and relief. Beautiful.
Yeah.
I want to remind people how you can get much more Jonathan Robinson at his website, Finding Happiness. And I love it. It's findinghappiness.com. There's the real Jonathan Robinson, this little guy here.
That was after my last meditation.
Exactly. And Jonathan has just all sorts of wonderful wisdom, and he does it with so much love and so much play. He's been on Oprah Winfrey 4 times, and also a reminder to subscribe for Awareness Explorers, his podcast program. So again, it's findinghappiness.com, awarenessexplorers.com. We are going to play that. We're going to conclude with this video from Marianne Williamson. I actually had 3 that I'd chose. I'm going to play just 1. And then we'll have an Omashar song to complete the night. Jonathan, thank you so much for jumping in at the last minute. You're welcome to stay for Marianne, or if you need to go to dinner or whatever, that's also understandable.
A great pleasure to meet you. I've heard so much about you, and I look forward to meeting in person.
Thank you so much. The same from my side, Jonathan. Thank you so much. It's my honor to meet you very, very much so.
So we are going to play a video of you might all recall, I of course work with the Illuminated Film Festival. I host most of their events, and we did a special event last November where we honored the Twin Ray, Matt Kahn, Gary Zukoff, and Marianne Williamson. And I've only played this video that one time live, and it's a beautiful conversation with her, where she was still kind of figuring out what she was going to do. She hadn't announced that she was running for president again. And it's a very candid interview, and you'll see kind of her humility. And it's interesting because I previewed it. I listened to it today while I was getting ready. And a lot of what she said are things that you've heard Jonathan and Deborah say tonight. So here we go. I'm going to fast forward just a little bit to where we see Marianne. There's the Awakening World. And go. There we go, The Awakening World. She was with us last night. And so when you register for the virtual film festival, you'll get everything that has happened and is going to happen, and you can watch it at your own leisure. And I can tell you, just based on last night's show, it was great. And every film, I've seen all the trailers, they're all quite beautiful. So to learn a little bit more about the Illuminate Film Festival, here's another trailer for you that gives you a taste, a little homeopathy. This incredible film festival, and of course for the Awakening World as well. And so what does that mean to you? Like when you get the note, okay, we're honoring you as an illuminated visionary. Of course, it might be nice for the ego, but then on a deeper level, what does that mean to you?
Well, on one level, it's very gratifying. It's a great honor to be acknowledged for work that I have done for decades. On a professional level, I understand that, and I'm grateful. But on a personal level, the last thing I do is wake up in the morning and think of myself as a visionary. In the East, in the Eastern religions, the guru never calls themselves a guru. I'm a student, just like everybody else is. And no matter, it's like your physical muscles, you might get to the gym and work out so much that you like the way your body is, but if you stop doing the work, your muscles will begin to weaken. And in spiritual world, the same is the case. You never get to stop working on yourself. And the moment when you are tempted, I don't believe in this eureka theory of, I got it. No. I might have gotten it 5 minutes ago, but right now I might be triggered. I might be triggered into that place where the wires are crossed and I don't know how to express my love and get my needs met. You can call these your character defects, your wounds. So when I think of myself as someone who's working on my wounds, my character defects, my temptations, as much as anyone else is. And the Course in Miracles says that everyone has a highly individualized curriculum. So my work is in every moment and every circumstance. What are you choosing, Marianne? Are you opening your heart? Are you there to give? Are you there to get? Are you there to complain? Are you there to open up to receive and all the love that's here? Are you judging someone, or are you focusing on someone's goodness? That's the work of my life.
Yeah.
And anything that happens in the outer world, professionally, I think has to stem from that. So I feel the greatest work I can do for others is to work on myself. I always say that I'm not trying to get the message out, I'm trying to get the message in.
It's beautiful. I mean, I love your humility. And it's true, we can be like in that enlightened moment, and then something happens and we get triggered and reptile brain takes over, right? And it's important to recognize that, because Sri Aurobindo wrote about the dangers of enlightenment, and that whenever somebody has a lot of popularity or sudden infusion of money or fame or success, it's a dangerous time, because all aspects of self can get expanded.
Absolutely.
So how has that been for you when you've had lots of attention, lots of focus, lots of energy coming your way? How have you managed all the different aspects of self, including the perfectly human, less evolved parts of yourself?
I can look back at this point in my life and think that I pretty much fell into every temptation possible. Never over the line, but pretty close to it. When I say close to a line, I don't think I ever crossed into serious lack of ethics, but I've crossed into moments that I would definitely look at as blindness and ego, due to situations where supposedly and actually theoretically I knew better. I think that's what's true for most of us at a point in our spiritual journey. We know the basics, so that any mistake we make is like, I should have known better. It's like, I'm Marianne Williamson, I should have known better. Yeah. Well, ego is very sly. Ego is very sly. That's why the traditional Christians call it the silver-tongued devil.
The motto that I love is how perfectly human, right?
Well, I think this is what keeps us humble. So I've been in situations where I've judged someone, particularly young people. I know some young women I was judging one day just in my mind. And then I thought about the fact that the very things I was judging them for when I was their age, I was much worse.
Huh?
It's so easy to point the finger at other people.
Hmm.
I love it when other people say, oh, Marianne's ego. Well, you have to have an ego to be pointing at my ego. Only your ego would. So everybody needs to just point at their own.
Beautiful. I love that at the time that we're talking about you as a visionary, we're actually having this very beautiful human conversation. And I'm appreciating your humility and your honesty, because you are a role model for so many people, and people can get lost in the idea of, oh, well, Marianne's up here and I can never be that. And then it adds to people's shame.
First of all, nobody who has read my books or heard me speak feels that way. But it has been my experience that those who put you up on a pedestal are the very people who would then knock you off. If they put you up on a pedestal, then the minute you do anything that's not their idea of perfection, then we're all students. The Course in Miracles says, it's you're not perfect or you would not have been born, but it is your mission to become perfect here. I feel about myself what I feel about really almost like the human race right now. Okay, Marianne, you've made some great advances in your ability to be in an open-hearted space, but there are still those places where you shut down, where you think you're better, or you think you're worse, or you think you're smarter, or you think you're more stupid, or you think you're more qualified, or you think you're less qualified, or whatever. Clean it up. This is the time. We all have, you know, it's kind of like you have a drawer in your house or a closet, and all the stuff you don't quite know what to do with, you just shove it in there. And you say, well, I'll get to it someday. But really, you're just playing a trick with yourself, because you know you probably won't get to it, but you're not having to confront the fact that you're throwing away something that you know you should have dealt with. That's the closet we have to clean out right now. That's the drawer. And I know we'll feel so much better when we do. So I'm having to face some things in myself right now that are very intense along that line.
Thank you for sharing that. It's very beautiful, you know, and deep breath there, deep breath, you know, may we all clean out our closet and get the support that we need for cleaning out the closet, you know, because it is important to get that support during these incredible times.
That's what our society is very lacking right now. We kick people when they're down. You know, Hemingway said, everyone is broken, but some grow stronger in the broken places. When we fail, when we admit our darkness, which we have to do, he says in the Course, I cannot take from you what you will not release to me. Those are the teachable moments. And that's when we need to bear witness with others. I'm going to stand with you while you do this work of exposing and detoxing and thus healing and improving. We just keep hitting people, you know. It's a mean-spirited moment.
My favorite coach, a basketball coach, is Phil Jackson. Super successful, 11 NBA championships. And one of his teachings is when a player's down is when I remind him of how great he is. When a player is playing great is when I remind him he can do better.
That's right. That's right. Did you see that? It was on the internet. It went viral. It was in England and it was on a soccer field. Did you see this? It's a video of these two little boys and their coach. And I think it's soccer. These kids are like 7 or 8 or 9, or maybe 10 years old. And this one little boy had failed at something. And this other little boy comes up to me, takes him by the arm and says, you are the best. Do you hear me? Do you understand me? It's so profound and it's so beautiful to watch this one little boy refuse to let this other little boy feel bad about himself.
Wow.
And the coach, I mean, it's just beautiful.
I'll have to find that. Yeah, there it is. That's what we need to do.
Well, we all need people in our lives there to remind us you didn't do everything right, and to remind us and you didn't do everything wrong.
Yeah. I have to say, we're all wanting to know what's in your future. What's next?
I'm living with that question right now. There is a story that was told by a Protestant theologian. I don't know what he called it, but I think of it as the journey of transformation from the Good Samaritan to the conscious Samaritan. The Good Samaritan's walking down the road, sees a beggar and gives the beggar alms. And then the Good Samaritan continues down the road and sees another beggar and gives the beggar alms. And the Good Samaritan continues down the road, sees another beggar and gives the beggar alms. And at some point says, I wonder why there are so many beggars. I've spent a lot of years giving the beggar alms. I've worked really hard at nonprofit activity and certainly the issues of being more loving, but we have to face not just the condition of the beggar, but a condition of a society, the richest society in the world. Why are so many people unnecessarily suffering? And I feel that I have some things to say about that, because I think the same principles that apply to the transformation of an individual apply to the transformation of a society, because we're just a bunch of individuals. And I felt for a long time, and have said so, that those of us who are involved in spiritual work should be the last people sitting out those questions. Because if you know what changes one heart, if you know what transforms one life, you're the one who has a clue as to what would transform the larger world. But I also know it's mean out there. It's mean out there. So that is one of many factors that are playing in my head, determining what my own path might be in the future.
Well, whatever it is, we will be on that path with you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. And I will be on your path with you. So thank you for having me and for the conversations that we have had and hopefully will continue to have.
Absolutely. I look forward to that. Thank you so much, Marianne. God bless you.
God bless you too, honey.
And we're going to go. What a lovely conversation, huh? Really,
That was a great conversation.
yeah.
Very humble, very, very beautiful.
And that was before she decided to run again. She lost $500,000 the last time she ran. She came out of it in the red, and she took a lot of slings and arrows. A lot of people were very hard on her, and you could see that what she's thinking about, am I going to do this or not? And God bless her, she's decided to do it. Every day I get my email from Marianne, it's to all of the people supporting her with her daily quote or her daily thought, and she's going for it. All right, I'll read a couple comments and then we'll complete with Omashar. Mark writes, when Marianne said we'll feel better when we can clean up the closet, I decided to turn off my gorgeous background image so I can deal with the massive pile of books and such behind me. No hiding. I know it will feel great to simplify, and I'm keeping my camera on. Marianne is amazingly brave. People are so mean to her, I don't understand it. Grace Denise writes, that was wonderful. She's amazing. Ayada writes, I've strongly felt since Marianne Williamson and then RFK Jr. announced they're running the next election, the best possible outcome would be to have both of them in the White House. She brings the heart. Yeah. And he brings the name. I'm going to put the camera on Sylvia, who's created a little something for us. What do you have there, Sylvia? Yeah. Beautiful. Do you want to unmute and tell us?
When Jonathan was talking about the pinprick, was that you in the balloon? I fold paper balloons, and so this one, in order to inflate it, it takes the hole. So I folded it and held it up to the screen and inflated it. And it's made with cosmic paper that I also use to fold the star box. So thank you for your beautiful offerings tonight. And it's really fun getting to know you.
Great. Thank you, Sylvia. We love you very much. All right. Well, thank you. We are going to go to Omashar to close us out with some music.
Or maybe let's open us up even more. What an amazing, spontaneous co-production tonight. I had no idea that it would unfold so beautifully. I feel full. My cup is full. And so let's sing a song called The New Road. I don't have a lyric in it. My cup is full, but I might just put that in there some other song at some time. So here we go. Waha.
Just look at us now, waves of inspiration filling our lives We're speaking our truth, basking in the pure light, freeing the way for all of us. Take off your disguise, show your starry eyes, open up your heart, be with me. Truly we're divine, let your spirit shine. I am one within you and I love you so. I love you so. Here on the new road, where air is so much clearer, creating a world of ecstasy. Surrounding us is true love, filling empty spaces. Rejoice in the word unity. Take off your disguise, show your starry eyes, open up your heart, be with me. Truly we're divine, let your spirit shine. I am one within you and I love you so. I love you so. Take off your disguise, show your starry eyes, open up your heart, dance with me. Truly we're divine, let your spirit shine. I am one within you and I love you so. I love you so. Take off your disguise, show your starry eyes, open up your heart, be with me. Truly we're divine, let your spirit shine. I am one within you and I love you so. I love you so. La 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 la, bum 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 ba dum dum da.
Well, there it is.
There it is. What a wonder, a very spontaneous show. Thank you, Deborah.
It was perfect.
You've
Absolutely
done it.
perfect.
Thank you for jumping in. There's a yoga class going on now, so they're playing their music, and it's just one of those. We tried doing it together, and it just was an adventure. Let's put it that way. Real quickly, on Saturday night, we are collaborating with a wonderful event that's happening. Kristen Hoffman, Ben Bowler, a lot of our friends, Rhiannon Catalyst, are doing a live event in New York, which we're going to tune in and we're going to be carrying that. And it's going to be all about co-creation. Omashar will be with us his last night for a couple of weeks before he goes to England. So we'll have some music. Join us at 6 o'clock on Saturday night for co-creation. And thank you again, Jonathan, for jumping in at the last minute. Thank you, everybody, and so much love. And yes, the SRF connection, convocation, that was put, you know what, I'll put that up quickly. It is so loud here right now. So here it is, the SRF convocation. Thank you so much for sharing that, Mark. All right. Take care, everybody. We'll see you Saturday night.
Thank you so much. Thank you.